Hi, it's Rachel. Unless this reality changes, none of us will ever be free. When you think of what it means when we talk about Hades, hell, Sheol, the place of the dead, and you think about what that would be like, we see all kinds of images, and people have had all kinds of dreams about what that would be like. And it is often covered with images where spirits are existing in a place of absolutely no care, no love. There is often spirits above them that have only evil intent. And so there's a hierarchy there, that there are evil spirits over other spirits that treat them as slaves, that they are their taskmaster, that those lower spirits are there to serve their lusts and their pleasures. And it's just a place of absolute lack of love. It's full of greed and lust and no care. And this is sometimes what we think of when we think of Hades or hell or Sheol. We also think of just immense suffering and pain, a place where God does not exist. It is a place of darkness, of a blindness to anything that's good or loving or of peace or tranquility. None of those things exist there. That's some of the images that we have seen and that we hold in our mind when we think of this place that we call Hades or hell or Sheol. It's a spiritual realm where souls, spirits exist. And most have thought that it is a realm where it is separate from this reality, that it's a place that you go to after this reality, after this life. But when you really, if that is what it is, what I just described to you, then this place, this reality, is a part of that Hades. In Psalm 86, it says in verse 13, "For great is your mercy toward me, for you have delivered my soul from the depths of Sheol." So here is a soul that was delivered from the depths of Sheol, from Hades, from hell. It is a place that we exist when we're walking in rebellion against God. And all of those scriptures that I just gave you are already in this earth. There is already spirits having a torturous reign over other spirits. We do that with the animal kingdom and how we treat them, test on them, mass produce them. Imagine if it was you stuck in a cage and you're only pulled out to be tested on with very harsh chemicals, and then you're put back in your pain and your eyes being corroded out because of what's been dropped in them. Imagine that you are put into a pot of boiling water alive, and that is your slow death. It is a place here that we cut animals open alive, that we castrate them alive, that we, without any kind of anesthesia, that we are so harsh, we don't see them at all as a spirit, but just this flesh entity that we can treat any way we want. That's hell. That is a picture of hell. So hell exists here for many, 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 many spirits, because a lot of the animal kingdom is under our torturous reign. And in this situation, a lot of people are the ones, or the spirits over them is the harsh taskmaster. Think of the cows that are being milked continuously pregnant, and babies ripped away from them. Just the images are worse than any hell images that have been drawn or that we have seen or that people put up on YouTube. It's already here. It exists. But people don't see that because they justify it because they're the ones doing the harm. They're the ones engaging in their lust and their greed, and so they don't see it. And they don't see it as lust and greed. They just think, well, that's just what I do. I go to McDonald's and I get burgers because I just like the taste. It is, when you start to see what this earth really is, one, you understand this verse about, because you start coming out of that. But the thing is, none of us will ever be free. It is an eternal hell. This place, unless this reality changes, this place will never end. That means the animals are in mass production. They keep breeding them. So you're always having spirits, and it's growing very full. With the mass production of animals and how they treat them now, this reality has become overflowing with a hellish mentality. And so you have to look no further than that. And what happens when you die? I don't know. I haven't gone that way yet. But if you can look and open up your eyes and see what we're creating here. And people are terrified of, after they die, going somewhere that would be so horrible, disconnected from God, with no way out, no hope, no care, and everlasting torment. That's what these animals are in. From the moment they're born to the moment they die, they are in a torturous environment of just constant fear. It's all the things that in your mind, you imagine this place called Hades, Hell, Sheol to be. And the thing is when we are taking part of all of that, we are a part of that reality. But as I was talking about before, you can start coming out of that reality. And when you do, you start seeing it for what it really is. And you know what? What follows is that you want that whole reality to end. And the way that it's ended is not by destruction, but by healing. The only reason that Hades, Sheol, hell exists is because there are souls that propagate the characteristics of hell, the greed, the lust. Okay, the oppression, the no love, no kindness, no care. If those souls are healed, Hades ceases to exist. Okay, the place of the dead, spiritually dead spirits. It is, and as I was mentioning before, death is death because there is no love there. Love is of life. So what is needed to heal is the divine love of God. So we are trapped in this Hades. We are trapped in this hell. We are trapped in this Sheol. And when you look up the word Sheol, what all those words reference, it means to ask, to inquire, to seek. That is what we're supposed to be doing here. And yet we have made it into something completely hideous, completely torturous to other spirits. Remember, you can't look at just the flesh covering. You've got to look at the spirit. And this is true with children. Children who are molested, that are abused, that are beaten, they're in a very similar lot. They are they are taking part of that spiritual realm of complete darkness and abuse by other spirits that are reigning over them, because that evil reign has that power to do that. This needs to stop. So we need to pray for healing for Hades, for Sheol, for this world. Because when you start recognizing what this place really is, then you can start praying for the lowest pit to be healed, the bowels of the earth, where nothing but waste and corruption and everything that is horrible is created. Okay? That we are only in all of creation. So if you think you can somehow die and escape and go to heaven, that's not a real reality. Because when you understand what love is, then you care about others. So you could never be in a place of peace, because we can experience that in this world. If you really know what true love is, it doesn't matter how much peace you have. If there is that other suffering going on, you suffer for that as too. It torments you. And yes, you're not being tormented, but you know that heart, it breaks constantly. So there is no way that you could have a place of tranquility and peace truly and have a place like this earth exist, because this is hell. This is Hades, because look at what goes on here. It's worse than the images that we have seen. So when people have dreams and visions, which are pictures communicating a spiritual reality, and maybe they suffer certain things there, the animals are suffering those things right now. And they are spirits, and they are beautiful spirits. And they are suffering those at mankind's expense for a taste in their mouth, for products that they want to use, that they just want to try to see if they can make certain things, so they test them on animals. It's, again, you can't judge by the flesh. You have to look and see a living creation that is holding an element of the Creator. And what is going on here is, it has to end. And that's why when you see in the Bible in Revelation that Hades gives up its dead, that means the dead are cast out. Hades is thrown into the lake of fire. It's healed. The lake of fire, God's fire is love. It says God is a consuming fire and God is love. Love is a fire because when you start moving in His love, then you start leaving all the things that harm behind. It refines you. It purges you. It purifies you. It cleanses you. It's a formless, beautiful fire that creates splendor and beauty. So the lake of fire that this will go into is ultimately just being consumed with God. So God will be all in all. That means love will be all. It'll be all in us, in all of creation. That is a beautiful promise. So that promise is something that we need to be praying for to manifest now. For this Hades, this Sheol that's happening here on this earth, that it needs to be healed now. That the bowels of this earth, the lowest places, the places of the most cruelty, lacking love, any inkling, any shadow of it, complete darkness, no light of day, no hope. That's what these animals live in every day. The conditions are horrible. Is to show us, is to teach us, is to see that what we are creating by going our own rebellious ways. by feeding our lust, by feeding our greed. Because that's what our desire for low prices, to things to be cheap, for just the taste of our in our mouth. It is a world that has created a demand, and consumers are falling into that, and they're becoming partakers of perpetuating hell with the realm of evil. That is when you start seeing clearly, this is what you start to see. This, Christ came. There is a verse in Psalm 16:10, and it's referenced in the New Testament as well. It says, "For you will not leave my soul in Sheol, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption." Christ's Spirit, he came here to be a part of this. He became a worm. Worms abide in the earth, in the dirt, in the soil, underneath, in the darkness, in where the roots are. Okay, it's also, the roots are also like the bowels of the earth. It's like the roots of the knowledge of the tree of the good and evil. Okay, it has to be totally healed from the very, very core, from the most darkest of places. That's where the light needs to go for there to be a healing for all of us. Because whoever is suffering the most, to whatever degree, we're all suffering. Because we're all connected. And when you start feeling that love and moving into that love, that's what you feel. If you don't have that care, you're not in divine love. So if you think that you can be in heaven and not care about the suffering, you're mistaken, because those that are in heaven, in the spiritual realm, in the realm of God, all you do is you care more. So you're tortured in your spirit, constantly crying out for the torture that is happening to the innocents of this world and to everybody. Everybody is a slave, is a prisoner, is in bondage. It's just that people don't recognize it. They're blind to it. They've been blinded. It's like a part of their mind that allowing them to see has been darkened, so that they serve the powers of darkness without even realizing it. Because if you realized it, you don't do it. That's what happens when you start moving into the light. You start seeing what the powers of darkness are: the greed, the lust, the just selfish ambition, just caring about self, all these things. You start seeing those for what they are, and you don't abide there anymore. But that's what that blindness does. It keeps you serving the powers of darkness. Okay? So when Jesus came, he came, and that spirit was a part of this place. Okay? Becoming like a worm, where the worm never dies, this place will never end. It is an eternal hell, eternal torment. And you look at any animal's life, and that's what it is from the moment they are born, because the moment they are born, they are treated very cruelly for mass production to keep cheap prices, to fulfill a lust. That's all it is, okay? So we've had all these images that somehow we've made hell something separate from ourselves, disconnected from ourselves. But when you really look to see what it is, it's a part of where we are. So it says, for you will not leave my soul in Sheol. And his soul wasn't left here, but it ascended. It says, nor will you allow your Holy One to see corruption. So even though he allowed himself to be killed on the cross, he was resurrected, showing that death had no power over him, that love had power over death, that life had power over death, that he was of the true God, of the Most High, of a different realm, that had power over this realm. So this is where he came. This is where he was, in the abode of the dead, of the spiritual dead, to bring life, to bring healing. energy in its form, it never disappears, it just changes. And I've said before that, and ultimately that's what we all are made up of. And so the healing to come forth is not a destruction, is not for a Hades or hell to go on forever. That is no victory. That is absolute defeat. The victory of Christ is that healing and deliverance and salvation comes to all of creation. So this place has to be completely renewed. A new heavens and a new earth. It is my most adamant cry now that this very pit will be healed from its very core outward. And that also includes the very pit of us. Because in each one of us, when we're born into this place, we're a part of that realm. And it is to grope and to seek to move out of that place. But not just so, yay, we're delivered and the rest continue to suffer. No, but that we might have the understanding and the enlightenment in the heart that all would be delivered. That Hades itself would be consumed in the very divine love of God and be healed and transformed into something completely glorious. The most righteous judgment that you can have for any entity, no matter how wicked, is that for eternity they are now loving. So where they caused harm and hurt, now imagine that entity creating love and beauty and goodness. That's a victory. That is a deliverance. That is what we should all be praying for and seeking. And in our own lives, desiring to be enlightened and woken up so that we no longer feed the powers of darkness and perpetuate this place, but that our lives serve as a light, as a healing serum, that we become part of the living waters to help transform this earth to become something absolutely beautiful. And that is the irony of this all, is that us humans, the ones that can affect this place the most, that we are the ones that need to start being filled with the light, that's that truth and that love, and let that fill this earth so that all of creation can be set free.